Now, cost minimization is essentially an application of multivariate optimization. We have done one of it. We have done utility maximization, and the knowledge that we gathered from there will be used here also, in the sense that the conditions obviously will change, but utility maximization, it generated Marshallian demand curve, and expenditure minimization. This generated Hicksian demand curve. So similar to this, or similar to that, here also we have two problems. One is production maximization, which we leave for the timing, we do not do now. Number two, in which we are interested, is cost minimization. And speaking from a economics point of view, cost minimization, to us, cost minimization is a more important problem than production maximization. Why? Because there is a third problem, which is obviously not similar to this, something that we have done already in unconstrained multivariate optimization, and that is profit maximization. So that has been done, right? Mathematically speaking. Consider the mathematical problem. Now, one of the important variable that appears in profit maximization as a constant. Okay, so we parameterize that variable in profit maximization. That variable, it does not appear in these two problems, and that variable is price, P. But obviously in profit maximization, the kind of problem that we have solved, there we have taken P to be a constant, which obviously is an assumption, and mathematically speaking, this assumption itself denotes that you are in perfect competition. Okay. Later we will cover a topic, monopoly. In monopoly, we will solve the more general problem where price will indeed become a variable. Anyway, so the mathematics that we have covered, rather the maximization problems that we have done under unconstrained maximization, was profit maximization, and profit maximization included P, but cost minimization and production maximization, they do not involve P. So there is no P. But if I'm talking about a producer who is deciding on how much to produce or how much to sell, so to say, price is a very important component. So it not being in these problems, it kind of renders lower value in terms of economics. However, as I said, that cost minimization is far more important than production maximization to us. Why so? Why is that? Because of a simple result, a result which basically holds. So what is that result? That result is that the necessary condition of profit maximization is cost minimization. Okay. So whenever I am maximizing profit, the cost is being minimized automatically, because that's the way we construct the problem, right? Because profit is revenue minus cost. So whenever I am maximizing profit, I am maximizing minus C, by which I am saying that I am actually minimizing C. So cost minimization is automatically done in this problem. And because of that, cost minimization is a very important problem to us compared to the problem of production maximization. Okay. Now, there is something else also, and that is this. We noted that utility maximization problem leads to demand curve. Several different kind of, if it is utility maximization, it leads to Marshallian. If it is minimization, expenditure minimization, then Hicksian. Similarly, here also, one of these problem must lead to supply curve. Profit maximization leads to basically, it leads to the supply curve. And this supply curve is essentially, this supply curve is also the marginal cost curve. Okay. The supply curve is also the marginal cost curve of a farm. And this is why, again, cost minimization is this important. Now, here in this MC, when I'm saying MC, here the cost function is a function of Q. But C, in its general form, it's not a function of Q. In general, if I write, C is basically this one, WL plus R into K. I can include other factors also, but that will just complicate the calculation. We will not gain any insight. So, and also to keep it in shape or in functional structure, to keep the similarity between budget line and this, we call it ISO cost line, a name I personally feel which has no need. Anyway, so this is the structure, and you know all of this, right? W is the wage, L is the labor, R is the rent, and K is the capital. One of the problem of including land, not mathematically, but obviously symbolically, there is a problem of including land, because for land also we have this idea of rent. What land earns is rent. So because of that, but again, for capital also we have written rent. Also, there is a symbolic issue that labor is denoted by L and land is also denoted by L. So due to those reasons, we keep it simple. And we will be dealing with land, but in a separate topic altogether, not here, in micro, okay, or probably in macro. I mean, in those, one of those papers. Okay, so our job here today is to minimize cost, obviously, and then looking at this similarity it has with the expenditure minimization problem, and ultimately to convert, to get a cost function which is C of Q, okay, because this is a C, this is basically C of L comma K. Okay, so let's start. Again, as I was saying, that the problem that we take today is similar. Here also you'll have, instead of indifference curve, here we will have isoquant, which basically comes from two things. Iso means same, and quant comes from quantity. So if I call a curve isoquant, that means that specific curve, it will show several combinations of L and K that results in the same amount of output. So it is the locus of L comma K that results into same quantity of output. So if I'm looking at a specific IQ at times, but we generally call it isoquants. So for that, Q of L comma K is equal to some Q naught or Q bar, whatever you like. So this one is obviously labor and this one is capital. And here also we take only 2 because in that way we'll be able to minimize. Okay, so isoquant. Then comes, I have already said this, the isocost line. So what is the problem? The problem of the, here we will say producer. So the problem of the producer is, okay, is to minimize C equal to WL plus RK, here L comma K, subject to Q of L comma K. Sometimes people write F of L comma K, that doesn't matter, equal to Q naught, which is a constant. Now, all of those results that we studied earlier, all of those holds, right? For example, if I take, so this is a straight line, of that we have no doubt, given W and R. So when I'm treating, I'm saying that the W and R are the parameters. I'm saying a perfectly competitive input market. Without that, I cannot treat these W and R as parameters. So obviously we'll delve into perfectly competitive input market at the end of this paper. Okay, and for this one also, if it becomes quasi-concave, then isoquants will be strictly convex. Isoquants will be strictly convex to the origin. So I'll just say it again. If the production function becomes quasi-concave, then much like similar to other cases, the corresponding isoquant will be, IQ will be strictly convex to the origin. Now that means that diagrammatically, we are looking at a diagram which will be identical given strictly convex to the origin isoquant. If I assume this, then we'll be looking at a diagram which is identical to the utility maximization diagram, just the notations will change. Before going into that, whenever I'm drawing an isoquant, okay, so let's just let's draw an isoquant strictly convex to the origin isoquant. So if I draw an isoquant here, let's take this space. Okay. So L x-axis, K y-axis, and then isoquant designated by Q naught. So I can have some like Q1 and all, right? Much like the same. So if I'm drawing an isoquant, then what I'm saying here is an implicit assumption, and the assumption is this: K and L are both variable. Something that is not always true in case of production. Mobilizing capital is not as easy as mobilizing labor, both in the sense of giving employment and laying off. In both ways, capital is less mobile than labor. Because of that, we come up with two terms. One is short run production function, and the other is long run production function. Okay, and how are they separated? It's very simple. Short run production function is basically this. So in the short run, at least one of the inputs is taken to be constant or given. Okay. In the short run, at least one of the inputs. Now, do not misinterpret it. If I'm saying at least one, there is a reason of saying this, at least one, because sometimes we come up with terms like very short run, where we say that all inputs are constants. Even with a production function, if it has 3 different inputs, fixing any one of them will lead to a short run production function. Fixing 2 of them will also take you to short run production function. Okay. Sometimes when all inputs are considered to be constant, we use this term of very short run, but it's not necessary that you always use that. All right. So the idea is at least one of inputs. If it is more, then it is fine. So that's how we identify whether it's a short run or long run production function. So obviously in long run, what will happen? In long run, every input will be variable. So in the long run, all inputs are variable. This means that here our isoquants, they refer to long run situation. They refer to long run situation rather than short run situation. What happens in the short run? We will study that in micro. Okay. In short run, the shape of the production function will be obviously a bit different. And here in this diagram, because originally in the production function there are 3 variables, K, L and Q. Here in this diagram we have taken Q to be constant and K and L to be variable. But in the short run, it will be Q of L, let's say, K equal to K bar being constant, and we'll be able to draw Q against L. Okay, so that will be a different diagram, obviously. So we'll do that, we'll do all that in micro. Anyway, so what are we doing now? The cost minimization obviously then referred to long run cost minimization, a term that we didn't write earlier. And the reason is pretty simple, that K and L both are variable. Okay. All right. Now, obviously, we will get the answer will be a cost function, and we will call that long run cost function. Okay. So our cost minimization, that which we are going to do today, it will yield long run cost function. And from there we can find a lot of other things also, right? Average cost and all that. Okay. Now, since in short run, at least one of the inputs is given, that means cost associated to this input, cost associated to this input is also given. And this implies that the cost associated to, so the cost associated to the fixed input is called fixed cost. There are several kinds of cost. Okay, there is something called a sunk cost also, which is not recoverable. Fixed cost is recoverable, but you can recover it only if you sell the input. Anyway, so currently we'll not go into that, because again we are in the we are trying to solve a mathematical problem. Okay, so cost associated to the fixed input is called fixed cost. So that means if I am talking about, so this means if I am talking about a short run cost function, it will involve fixed cost and variable cost. Whereas when I'm talking about a long run cost function, which I'll do now, okay, which I'll solve now, in that case, it doesn't have, so for this, no fixed cost. So no fixed cost for long run cost function, okay? And because that is true, the entire system can be actually solved in this way. Okay? For fixed cost, the problem is of a different kind. Anyways, so though mathematically speaking, we are doing cost minimization in a multivariate setup. If we take the microeconomic view, then what we are doing is we are minimizing cost in the long run, and our result that we will get will be a long run cost function, and our objective will be actually to end up with a C which is expressed entirely in terms of Q, the only variable involved in that. Okay, all right, so let's do that. Now before starting again, I'll just say that to complete the diagram here, just we have to draw so I have to draw an isocost line, and obviously at this point E, there is this equilibrium L star and K star. Okay, so that's it. Diagrammatically it becomes the same thing. Okay, so let's take a production function and minimize cost. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, so we'll take the simplest one. So consider Q equal to K into L. That means the power of both of them is 1, right? Okay, all right. So what is our problem? Minimize K comma L, C equal to W into L plus R into K, subject to KL equal to Q naught. And then the standard Lagrangian method. So the corresponding Lagrangian is script L equal to KL plus lambda into, WL plus RK plus lambda into Q naught minus KL. So now let us look at the first order conditions. So, okay, so the FOCs are del script L del L, so that will be W minus lambda K 0, then script L K, which will be R minus lambda L equal to 0, and then script L differentiated against lambda, which will give us the constraint, so Q naught minus KL equal to 0. Okay, now from these two, we'll get W by R equal to K by L. If expressed, then L equal to RK by W. Then what is our job? Substitute it here. Okay, so if I substitute that, then Q naught equal to K into RK by W. So that means K square equal to QW by R. So K will be root over QW by R. And obviously K will be positive, right? So the positive root will be taken. Okay. All right. Now, by symmetry or following the same thing, the L will be basically QR by W, root over QR by W, but then let's just do that. So K will be equal to WL by R. So it's symmetric, only change is W by R has changed. So this will be our K star and this will be our L star. So L star will be root over Q R by W. Okay. All right. Now these are the, what are they? These are the input demand curves. Okay. But these input demand curves are not the one. Oh, sorry, this should be Q naught. Sorry. A mistake in symbol can change a lot of things. Okay, so these are input demand curves. Of that, there is no doubt. Now, there is one little problem. The little problem is that when you have done profit maximization, this problem also gives input demand curves. This problem, it also provides us input demand curves. So what is the difference here? What is the difference? These input demand curves and these input demand curves, they are separate. They are not the same. So what is the change here? Okay, the change is pretty simple. The simple change is that these input demand curves, they are coming from an unconstrained situation. Unconstrained situation. And here, these input demand curves, they are coming from a constrained maximization problem. So these are from a constrained situation, and that is a big difference. Okay. And if we can stretch, there can be a kind of a similar to Slutsky kind of a relation between these two demands. So again, so that's a separate part altogether. But just to say that these input demand curves and these input demand curves, they're different. Okay, this comes from a constant optimization problem. Okay, now one job is still left, and that job is to find this, and that's pretty simple. We just put K and L in W in L and K. These optimum values, we're going to place it here. Okay. So let's do that and then we are done. So now our C will be W into, and now it will be root over QW by R and R into root over QR by W. Now here I have removed the dot. Why? Because if I keep the dot, that is Q naught. Okay, so here I have not written the dots because of this. If I write Q naught here, then the answer, then the C that I'll get will be the minimized C. Okay, so that will be the minimized cost with respect to this output Q naught. But to have a cost function, we have to keep it in general Q, so that I can get a relation between C and Q for different levels of Q. Okay, so now what does this become? Ah, yes, that's what I was thinking, that I have replaced it wrong. Okay, so W, then QR by W, and then here QW by R. So the square root, they cancel out, and it becomes 2 into QWR, which is C of Q. And this is the long run cost function. Okay. Now, since I'm minimizing, I need to check the border Hessian, right? Okay, so what is the condition here? What is the second order condition here? It's a minimization problem. So the SOC is basically border Hessian less than 0. So we have to check. Okay, let me write like this. This is not this. Second order condition of minimization is that the value of border Hessian, this determinant, must be negative. Okay. All right. And here, what are the constituents of the border Hessian? So here also the constituents of border Hessians are, so we write like this. So 0, then the first order derivative of the constant, and the second order of the KL, right? So LL, then script LK, no, sorry, LL, KL, LK, which are same, so it doesn't really matter, and KK, right? So the diagonals are double derivatives of the script L, which is basically the double derivative of the major function here. So the first objective function here, so this is script LL, KK, then there is 0. G is basically I'm denoting the constant, right? So for that it will be first order. So it will be, sorry, this is the row of L. So L, then K, and here also it will be L, and it will be K. Okay. Okay. So if much like we had prices of the commodities, here you may think that we will have W and R, but think again, because now we have a minimization problem, and our problem is this. Our scriptal here is WL plus RK plus lambda into Q naught minus LK. So this here is our G, okay, and this here is our script L, okay. And then our task is to find bordered Hessian.